God, no. So I was hoping that it would got figured out by the time at least lunch.
I could lose a job over it.
I've never seen this before, so new to me.
This is KTVU Fox 2 News at Noon.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alex Savage. BART service is back up and running this noon hour after being shut down for most of the morning commute, causing widespread problems across the Bay Area. KTVU's James Torres is joining us now live from San Francisco, where, James, a lot of people who work in the city, well, they had to turn to other options this morning.
No doubt about it, Alex. Good afternoon to you. Well, if you work in the East Bay and you rely on BART, or rather live in the East Bay, rely on BART to get to work here in San Francisco, the Embarcadero station is likely one of your landing points. But today, it was the Salesforce Transit Systems Tower Center instead. If you walked into a BART station before 9 o'clock this morning, this is probably what you would have saw. You would have seen some of those gates down, gates closed, caution tape wrapped around them, and signs telling you there is no train service. BART normally starts its service at 5 a.m. on the weekdays, but that didn't actually start up until about 9 o'clock this morning. People relied on AC transit buses instead, taking them from Oakland, Richmond, and Berkeley over to the transit center. They were relieved to find out by the time they got to San Francisco, the BART problems were fixed.
So I was hoping that it would got figured out by the time at least lunch came for all the people that do take transportation. I mean, we all got to stick it out and rough it out. So I'm glad that AC Transit came through and pulled their strings for us.
Well, you can likely see the people who are coming out of the BART station behind me. Business now as usual. Those BART trains, all BART trains, are now up and running. However, BART says you should still expect some delays system-wide. We're live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, tough morning for a lot of commuters. James, thank you for that. Let's take a deeper dive now into exactly what happened this morning with the BART system and how the agency responds to problems like this. Let's bring in BART's Chief Communication Officer, Alicia Trost. To do that, Alicia, it's good to see you. Thank you for the time. So this all began with BART doing some overnight maintenance work, it sounds like, and then you had this computer networking problem this morning, right before you were set to open up and get the trains rolling. What exactly went wrong as far as you know?
Well, we had a normal maintenance shift, and then the control center, once those crews get out of the way, normally they begin to power up our train service. And it became evident shortly before 4 a.m. that things were not powering up as they usually do. And at 4:30 a.m. is when we put out that initial service advisory saying, we do not have train service that's going to be able to start at 5 a.m. And the issue was the staff in the control center could not see into the system. There's a board, and it's critically important that they see all of those track circuits and where the trains will be. Without that visibility, we will not run trains. And that's what happened. We're investigating exactly what the systems that caused that disruption. We know it was some network devices that were not communicating with each other. Once the crews identified that section, they basically disconnected it, did a hard reset, and then the system started to power back up.
Okay, there's no reason to believe that there was anything nefarious involved here, that there were any sort of outside forces that disrupted the system?
Absolutely not.
Okay. This was an issue that BART faced similarly back in 2019, where you had the system shut down across the board for several hours. What has changed since that time? What upgrades have been made to the computer network at BART since that time to try to avoid another situation like this?
This does happen from time to time, and typically in the morning because it's about powering things up. And since then, we have been replacing many of our network devices. It is a 5-year project, and we're not done with it yet. We're also in the process of updating our whole train control system. And, you know, there's like thousands of network devices across the BART system, and it's going to take time to get all of them replaced. Though we're not sure yet if this even has anything to do with old versus new. We're still looking into that. We're also still looking into knowing, do we even need to make a repair or a replacement, or is this some other type of connectivity issue? That's what we're looking at right now.
All right, so obviously the situation that unfolded this morning is the last thing you want to have happen here, but as you're looking at how things went this morning during the morning commute, how do you feel like the agency communicated with riders about the fact that the trains just weren't going to be running?
Well, some of the things we did was all of the employees who work at headquarters were told to go to their closest BART station to help get the word out and especially try to get you before you paid for parking. One thing we're going to do is if you did pay for parking this morning, we're going to take care of that because you paid for parking and you came to BART and realized there wasn't any BART. So know that that's getting automatically taken care of. Our general manager was in the control system himself, making sure things was getting communicated out. We had that first service advisory, like I said, at 4:30 in the morning. Our app had the notice. The hardest part, though, is those third-party apps. Like if you opened Google Maps, it still showed what a normal BART schedule is. And
right.
so we don't have control over that. So it's never perfect, but we learn every time. We find these areas, these gap areas in communication, and we work to improve those.
All right. Obviously, we know that BART is working hard and making progress to try to get more people riding the system once again. How much do you feel like an event like what happened this morning kind of undermines people's confidence in the system as you're trying to restore those ridership numbers?
Yeah, reliability is our brand, and we have to show up. We have to be there every day when people need us. And when it doesn't happen, they then look to us to be, transparent, apologetic, take care of things so it doesn't happen again. I do feel that we're leaning into those things right now. But you are correct. Right now, it's critical that we show the Bay Area that they don't need to drive. We've got a ridership of about 200,000 exits a day. And I think what this is a really great story for is for those ferries and buses. We made those phone calls this morning. Please scale up. We need to make sure the ferries and buses also get the proper operating funding they need so that they can scale up. BART is irreplaceable. There's not enough capacity on a bus or a ferry or even, Highway 24 or the Bay Bridge to replace the capacity of BART. So that's the longer term story for this is how do we make sure our Bay Area is ready for incidents like this and that we can respond and have the money to do so.
All right. We appreciate the time this afternoon after what I know was a very busy morning for you. Alicia Trost with BART. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Well, KTVU began sending out alerts about the BART outage at about 5 o'clock this morning, and obviously those were helpful for a lot of commuters, so they knew what was going on. And so you should be sure to download the Fox Local app so you can stay up to date